when it comes to making amends, there is a value on pain and suffering. And this is a very brief story I'm going to share that will illustrate my point as well as anything. About a year ago, I went to Burlington Coat Factory in Leominster. Bought about $300 worth of stuff for my family. And everybody's listening going to relate to what I'm about to say. I bring it up to the register. You know those metal tags that are on each piece of clothing that they have to pull off at the register? Okay? Safety thing, right? I looked at the cashier, no word of a lie, and I said, look, you got a lot of items here. Would you just be really diligent on making sure you're removing all these so I don't have any issues? Yep. Get home, of course, 2 of the things still had the tags on them. Now I have to go back. Burlington Coat Factory isn't around every corner in Massachusetts, right? So now I'm really mad. I have to go back to the store and drive 40 minutes each way. So remember when I said pain and suffering? What is an hour and 20 minutes of my time worth? Okay, because I just had to take an hour and 20 minutes of my time I wouldn't normally have. I walk in the store, I go up to the cashier, and I explain what happened, and she's like, no emotion. She's like, okay, fine. Takes the things off, hands them to me, and says, you're all set. And I go, no, that's not going to cut it. That's not good enough. So first rule to me, Ted, when it comes to communication and customer service, my process is very often determined by the attitude and emotion of the person I'm dealing with. Now, if she had said in that moment, you know, oh my God, I'm so sorry we did that. You know, geez, I can see you were really inconvenienced. Is there anything I could do to make it right? I would have said no. Thank you for acknowledging that. I'm good. But she didn't do that. She had a bad attitude, wasn't friendly, and so I looked at her and I said, no, I'd like to know what you're going to do to make up for this. And she goes, what do you want me to do? And I said, no, it's not going to work like that. You're the store owner. You tell me what you think the right thing is to make up for that. And so she continued to fuss around. I will admit I wasn't emotionally intelligent in that moment because I was very annoyed. And so as the line grew at the register, I made it very clear how incompetent and ineffective she was. They finally got a manager. The manager comes over and talks to me. It was marginally better, but better. And so they ended up giving me a 50% discount on my purchase. Now, when I walked in the store, the only amends I was looking for was attitude, emotion, and remorse. I didn't get that, and now it cost the store $150 in addition to losing a customer. So for everybody out there who's been in a situation in service, when you've been disappointed, when you've been let down, when someone hasn't met your needs, pain and suffering is not the standard. So if you have to, if a store does a mistake and you go back to the store and they say, oh, here, we'll fix it, we charged you the wrong amount. No, that's not enough. Now, a lot of people out there probably listening are saying, well, why do you have to be such a hard ass, or why do you have to be so difficult? I don't look at it like that. I look at it in a way of what are communication standards and expectations and how we treat people and how we deal with people. And when someone is inconvenienced, I'm not saying not to have compassion. We should have compassion. But compassion is a two-way street. So if I walk in there with a mindset of being compassionate, then I expect that same compassion in return. And I think that a lot of times when it comes to making amends, people feel like they have to make up for something. There's a tangible act you have to do to demonstrate your remorse. And that's the whole purpose of this discussion, is to say there is no tangible act. You don't have to give me money. You don't have to necessarily do an additional favor, but you got to do something. And you've got to acknowledge that doing what would be a given to make up for it anyway is not enough. There's a very simple 3-step process that I follow with making amends, okay? And here it is. How can I make it right? Open-ended question. How can I make it right? Be willing to do the right thing, regardless of what that is, and convey what you will do differently next time. So you've understood the error and how will you correct it moving forward. And look, if the person does bear some brunt for what went wrong, the way to communicate that is not to point it out, and not to have them share in the blame if it's on you. It's to say, hey, you know what, I have some thoughts about how this might be easier for you in the future. Are you open to them? But those are the 4 steps that go with making amends. And I don't think it's situational. I think that's a mentality and a mindset you have to have.